sometimes it's a struggle of our own making. But whatever it is and whatever its source, it must be met head on.
Hey everyone, welcome back to TV Deep Dive. I'm your host, Amelia, and today we're breaking down the penultimate episode of Beyond the Gates, Season 1, Episode 29, titled The Reckoning. If you've been following our recaps all season, you know we're reaching the climax of everything that's been building since Episode 1. And wow, what an explosive episode this was. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss our season finale breakdown next week. This is your official spoiler warning. We're covering everything that happened in this game-changing episode, so if you haven't watched yet, go do that first and then come back. Trust me, you don't want this one spoiled. After 28 episodes of slow-burning tension and carefully constructed alliances, The Reckoning finally brings everything to a boiling point. The title couldn't be more appropriate as multiple characters face the consequences of decisions they've made throughout the season. Following last week's shocking revelation about the Oakwood Estates land acquisition scandal, this episode focuses on the community's fracturing response and the desperate attempts by those in power to maintain control. The walls are closing in on Vernon Dupree as Danny's leaked documents have now reached federal investigators, while Anita makes one last desperate play to protect her family legacy. Meanwhile, the Richardson-Hamilton merger finally goes public with devastating consequences for Ted and Nicole's marriage. And Martin's past comes back to haunt him in ways nobody saw coming. All this builds toward a confrontation at the emergency community meeting that will permanently change the power dynamics of Oakwood Estates. Let's break down exactly how all these explosive storylines unfolded in this pivotal episode. The episode opens with a brilliant montage showing the ripple effects of last week's bombshell Washington Post article about Oakwood Estates' questionable origins. We see residents glued to news reports, whispered conversations at the country club, and panicked phone calls between board members. The cinematography in this sequence deserves special praise. Quick cuts between households show the community's simultaneous reaction while emphasizing their isolation from each other. The director cleverly uses increasing close-ups to create a sense of walls closing in. At the Dupree mansion, Vernon and Anita are in full crisis management mode. Their evolution as a couple throughout this season has been fascinating to watch. From the united front we saw in the pilot to this fractured partnership where Anita questions Vernon's decisions while still publicly defending him. Vernon's line to Anita, "Everything I built, everything we built, was to create something that would outlast us," perfectly encapsulates his character's tragic flaw. His genuine belief that the ends justify the means has finally caught up with him, and delivers this with the perfect mix of desperation and indignation. The scene shifts to Danny, now staying at Eva Thomas's guest house for protection after leaking the documents. The weight of her decision is evident, especially when she sees footage of her parents on television. This moment pays off her season-long arc from idealistic daughter to principled whistleblower, though the pain of betraying her family is still palpable. Following the revelation in episode 27 about Ted's secret dealings with the Hamilton family, this episode finally gives us the confrontation between Nicole and Ted that's been brewing all season. Their explosive argument in their kitchen is easily one of the series' most powerful scenes to date. Nicole's discovery that Ted has been secretly working with Bill Hamilton to orchestrate the Richardson-Hamilton merger is devastating, not just because of the business implications, but because it represents the ultimate betrayal of both her trust and her family. What makes this scene so effective is how it brings together threads from throughout the season. Nicole's suspicions about Ted's late nights, the mysterious phone calls, and the tension between Ted and Vernon that's been simmering since episode 3. When Nicole says, "I defended you to my father for years. I chose you over my family again and again, and all this time you were plotting against us," it's a culmination of her entire character journey. Their performance here is absolutely Emmy-worthy. Ted's defense that he was tired of living in Vernon's shadow and that the Duprees would soon be toxic in the business world anyway shows just how much his character has changed from the charming, if somewhat insecure husband we met in the pilot. My father might be going down, but he's not going alone. And neither are you. This perfectly sets up her character's direction for the finale. After 28 episodes of hints and vague references, we finally learn the truth about Martin Richardson's mysterious past and his connection to Marcus Washington, the name that's been haunting Vernon and Bill since the pilot. The sequence begins with Martin receiving an unexpected visitor, an elderly woman named Mrs. Washington, who's revealed to be Marcus's mother. Their painful conversation finally explains the central mystery that's been driving much of the show's tension. We learn that Marcus Washington was Martin's college roommate and close friend who discovered evidence of illegal business practices in an early Vernon-Bill partnership 25 years ago. When Marcus threatened to expose them, he died in what was ruled an accident but was clearly something more sinister. Martin's guilt stems from his knowledge of what happened but remaining silent to protect his family's interests. This revelation recontextualizes so many of his actions throughout the season. His discomfort with wealth, his distance from his brother Ted, and especially his heated confrontation with Bill in episode 12. The scene between Martin and Smitty afterwards is heartbreaking, as Smitty finally understands why his husband has been carrying such heavy emotional baggage. Their relationship has been one of the most authentic and nuanced portrayals on television, and this scene feels like a culmination of their storyline. While most characters are reacting to the unfolding scandal, Leslie Thomas proves once again why she's been the season's most fascinating wildcard. After collecting information on everyone all season, she finally reveals her endgame in this episode. The sequence begins with Leslie approaching Chelsea Hamilton with an unexpected proposal. Combine forces to create a new power structure in Oakwood Estates once the dust settles. Their tense meeting at the empty country club restaurant showcases two of the show's most ambitious characters, recognizing each other as worthy adversaries. Leslie's plan is brilliant in its simplicity. Use the chaos of the Dupree scandal and Richardson-Hamilton merger to position themselves as the community's new leadership. Her knowledge of everyone's secrets, which she's been collecting since episode 1, gives her unprecedented leverage. What makes this storyline so compelling is how it pays off Leslie's character development. From the seemingly superficial real estate agent in early episodes to this calculating strategist, her evolution has been subtle but consistent. The scene takes an unexpected turn when Chelsea reveals she's been recording their conversation, creating a perfect stalemate between these two master manipulators. Their tense smiles as they realize they're evenly matched sets up what will surely be a central conflict in season 2. If there's one character who's consistently proven she'll do anything to protect her family, it's Anita Dupree. This episode showcases her most desperate and dangerous moves yet. The sequence begins with Anita visiting the mysterious safety deposit box we first saw in episode 16. Finally, we learn what she's been keeping there. Evidence implicating Bill Hamilton in Marcus Washington's death, essentially her nuclear option. What makes Anita such a compelling character is the contradiction between her public persona and private actions. The scene where she calmly applies her makeup while making threatening phone calls perfectly encapsulates this duality. Her confrontation with Bill at his office is a masterclass in tension. When she slides the envelope across his desk with the simple words, "If my husband falls, you fall harder," delivers it with such quiet menace that you almost feel sorry for Bill despite his own misdeeds. The moral complexity reaches its peak when Anita later visits Danny at Eva's house. Their mother-daughter scene is heartbreaking. Anita doesn't try to convince Danny she was wrong to expose the truth, but simply asks if the collateral damage to innocent family members is worth it. This conversation perfectly illustrates the show's central theme about the cost of principles versus protection of loved ones. The town hall setting allows for brilliant ensemble work, as virtually every character we've followed throughout the season is forced into the same room, with tensions at an all-time high. Vernon's attempt to control the narrative immediately backfires when residents demand real answers. His prepared statement feels hollow after everything we've learned, and the community's reaction shows how completely his power has eroded. The true shock comes when Bill Hamilton takes the microphone, seemingly to attack Vernon. but instead announces his own complicity in past misdeeds. This unexpected move, clearly prompted by Anita's blackmail, changes the entire dynamic of the meeting. The climactic moment arrives when Naomi Hamilton approaches the microphone. Throughout the season, she's been portrayed as the quiet Hamilton daughter more interested in art than business. But her revelation that she's been independently investigating her father and the Duprees for months shows how much she's been underestimated. When she produces additional documents connecting both families to environmental violations and worker exploitation, it's clear that no one will emerge from this scandal unscathed. The community's shocked reaction as they realize the extent of the corruption at Oakwood's foundation is perfectly executed. Just when it seems things couldn't get more intense, the episode's final minutes deliver multiple shocking developments that perfectly set up next week's season finale. As the community meeting dissolves into chaos, we follow several key characters in parallel. 1. Vernon receives a phone call that federal agents have a warrant to search his offices. 2. Ted is confronted by both the Richardson and Dupree families, finding himself isolated from all sides. 3. Martin makes a decision to publicly tell everything he knows about Marcus Washington. 4. Chelsea and Leslie's uneasy alliance faces its first test as they position themselves amid the chaos. But the true cliffhanger comes in the episode's final moments. As Danny returns to her childhood home to retrieve personal belongings, believing everyone is at the community meeting, she discovers her mother in Vernon's study, destroying documents. Their confrontation is interrupted by the sound of federal agents arriving at the front gate. The episode ends on Anita's face, as she must decide whether to surrender peacefully or take more drastic measures to protect what remains of her family legacy. The final shot of her reaching into her desk drawer leaves us on a perfect note of suspense. As we approach the season finale, this penultimate episode brilliantly brings together the show's central themes. From the pilot's focus on the immaculate surface of Oakwood Estates to this episode's complete shattering of that facade, the season has consistently explored how perfection is often built on deeply imperfect foundations. The question of what one generation owes the next has been central to every family storyline. Vernon and Bill sacrificed ethics for legacy, while their children must now decide whether to perpetuate or dismantle those systems. Nearly every character has faced moments where their principles collided with their personal interests. The brilliance of the writing is that these aren't portrayed as simple choices, but complex dilemmas where every decision carries real costs. The shifting alliances throughout the season have created a fascinating study in how power operates in closed communities through money, information, social capital, and family ties. The direction in this episode deserves special praise for balancing so many interweaving storylines while maintaining clarity and emotional impact. The use of parallel editing during the community meeting sequence particularly stands out, showing multiple perspectives on the same chaotic event. With just one episode left this season, here are some predictions for next week's finale. 1. Will Anita actually use whatever is in that desk drawer? Her character has been pushed to the edge, and she's consistently shown she'll do anything to protect her family. 2. Martin's decision to come clean about Marcus Washington will likely have major consequences for both the Dupree and Hamilton families. 3. Nicole seems positioned for a major power move against both Ted and potentially her own father. 4. The Leslie-Chelsea alliance will be tested, with one likely betraying the other. 5th, Dani will face the ultimate test of her principles when confronted with the reality of her parents potentially facing criminal charges. The showrunners have masterfully set up numerous possible endings while keeping the stakes deeply personal for every character. Whatever happens in the finale, it's clear that Oakwood Estates and its residents will never be the same. The Reckoning delivers everything we want from a penultimate episode: emotional payoffs to season-long arcs, shocking revelations, and perfect setup for what promises to be an explosive finale. The performances continue to be nothing short of exceptional, with deserving particular praise for showing us the desperation beneath Anita's controlled exterior as her world crumbles around her. What did you think of this episode? Were you shocked by Martin's connection to Marcus Washington? Do you think Vernon and Bill will both face justice? Let me know your thoughts and predictions in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. You definitely won't want to miss our breakdown of next week's season finale. Until then, I'm Amelia for TV Deep Dive, and I'll see you next time.